No Champions League trophy? Or 15 of them? Real Madrid may have basked in glory for decades, while Arsenal wandered in years of heartbreak. But for a fan who's stuck by the Gunners for 10, maybe 20 years, to finally witness a magical night at the Emirates, watching their team firing goal after goal against the royal giants of Europe. That feeling? It's pure, unfiltered joy. This was football of the kind that Madrid never saw coming, unpredictable, uncontrollable. Without that chaotic magic, a draw would have been a fair result. But no, Madrid collapsed, shattered into pieces right there in London. From the very first whistle, the atmosphere at the Emirates was electric. Every cheer, every stare from the crowd was filled with roaring expectation. The Arsenal players knew exactly where they stood, facing Real Madrid, kings of the Champions League, a name that strikes fear into most opponents, but not them. Arsenal weren't afraid. Why should they be? They barely get to face Madrid. Fear comes from familiarity. Many thought just making it this far was achievement enough, but these Gunners knew they couldn't let down the thousands of believers chanting from the stands. At the very least, don't lose. But to win? Who knows? The first half was a high-octane chess match. Both teams pressing, matching each other's pace stride for stride. But Arsenal entered with no trace of intimidation. They stuck to their weapons, especially their tried-and-true wide play. Bukayo Saka, returning after a long spell on the sidelines, looked as sharp as ever. He tormented David Alaba from the first touch, constantly creating danger down the right flank. Carlo Ancelotti's men aimed to strike on the counter with two lethal arrows, Vinicius Jr. and Kylian Mbappe. But unlike usual, they were muted, smothered by a disciplined Arsenal backline. In midfield, Declan Rice and Thomas Partey locked down Madrid's engine room. Bellingham, Camavinga, Modric, all of them struggled to get into rhythm. Arsenal's high press disrupted Madrid's flow, forcing mistakes and killing their tempo. The first half ended 0-0, but the balance of play clearly leaned toward the hosts. They hadn't scored, but every sign pointed to something bigger coming. And then, it came, minute 58, a foul by Alaba on Saka led to a seemingly harmless free kick. From nearly 30 yards out, Declan Rice stepped up. The angle was wide, but the strike? Sublime. He bent it perfectly around the wall, kissed it off the inside of the post. Courtois, flying at full stretch, had no chance. It was a goal reminiscent of Roberto Carlos' legendary banana free kick, and fittingly, cameras caught the Brazilian icon in the stands, smiling from ear to ear. And it didn't stop there. Just 12 minutes later, Rice did it again. Closer range this time. Dead center. No curve, just raw power and precision. He struck the ball into the top left corner. No keeper in history could have saved it. I'll say that again, none. 2 free kick goals. The kind of brilliance you associate with Messi, Beckham, Pirlo. But tonight, the spotlight belonged to Declan Rice, and both goals? They started with one name, Bukayo Saka. He didn't score, but he twisted and turned Madrid's defense inside out. He forced the fouls. Every time he touched the ball, the stadium held its breath, and when he finally limped off in the 74th minute after being kicked around all night, the entire Emirates rose as one, clapping him off in thunderous applause. Just a minute later, the Emirates exploded again. Mikel Merino, fed by a slick pass from Lewis Skelly, didn't even take a touch. He curled a left-footed strike into the far corner. 3-0. Game over, 3 goals in under 20 minutes. Arsenal had Madrid in a daze. No one saw this coming, but it was a well-earned reward for a young team that never stopped believing. After years of being doubted, Arsenal have grown up, and they fear no one. From how they pressed, to how they built attacks, this was a team operating with clarity and structure. Mikel Arteta's 4-3-3 wasn't just familiar, it was layered with subtle shifts. Miles Lewis Skelly, starting at left back, frequently tucked inside to form a midfield trio alongside Rice and Partey, giving Arsenal numerical superiority in the center, right where Madrid needed control the most, and found none. Partey, Rice, Odegaard formed a seamless midfield machine, breaking plays, building attacks. Odegaard, in particular, displayed surgical vision and press resistance under pressure. Out wide, Arsenal's natural strengths flourished. Martinelli stretched the left, Saka stretched the right, creating space for midfielders to surge through or swing the ball crossfield. Their pressing was relentless. Madrid's backline, usually so calm in possession, was repeatedly forced into errors from their own half. Meanwhile, Madrid never found their groove. Ancelotti switched to a 4-4-2 when defending. With Vinicius and Mbappe up front and Bellingham shifted out wide, It didn't work. Vinicius was silenced by Timber and Saliba. Rodrigo faded. Mbappe tried, but couldn't find the space to shine. In midfield, Camavinga and Modric were overwhelmed, lacking rhythm, creativity, and control. Courtois, world-class as ever, made a few key saves, but even he couldn't stop the three stunners. Mbappe's blank expression after Rice's second goal said it all. Real Madrid were lost. Then came Camavinga's second yellow, smashing the ball away in frustration. He knew he was already suspended for the second leg. But the act spoke volumes. Madrid were rattled. Make no mistake, this wasn't just a win on the scoreboard. It was a statement, a historic night in Arsenal's European journey. Nearly 20 years after that famous 2006 win, the memory was reborn, but this time, it wasn't just about surviving. It was a dominant, three-goal dismantling of the reigning champions. No longer just a promising team, this Arsenal is mature, disciplined, and ruthless. Mikel Arteta is now being talked about as one of Europe's elite tacticians. He's built a side that plays with beauty and brains, a team crafted with balance, emotion, and precision. Every player, from keeper to striker, knows their role. They act in unison, and while a 3-0 lead doesn't shut the door on Madrid, because if any club can overturn it at the Bernabeu, it's them. Arsenal are now ready to go toe-to-toe with Europe's best. This dazzling night at the Emirates, it will be remembered. Because on this night, Arsenal weren't apprentices anymore. They were contenders, true contenders for the European crown.